What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome to episode 12 of Domiciled, the podcast that explores the subculture of truck drivers as well as logistics professionals, bringing their stories to the masses. I'm your host, Scott Cleary. Hey, everyone. I'm just going to hop right into today's guest because it took me all 5 minutes during our initial conversation to realize I just got to have this guy on. Not only is he from the Northeastern U.S., which is an immediate plus in my book, being from Massachusetts myself, but he can tell a great story. He's not shy, strongly believes drivers need to be better represented in our space, and has many other positive characteristics that made me very excited to have this conversation. So our next guest has spent 30 years in logistics, and you'd find him today in a Class B truck delivering craft beer in upstate New York. But that's not where he started out his career. His unique experiences has caused him to form his own opinions of those in the logistics space, as well as opinions on how drivers are viewed by those inside and outside our industry. My favorite part is that those opinions continue to evolve and change as he has new experiences and meets new people. That being said, let's dive right in. Welcome to the pod, John Larrauri. How we doing?
How are you, Scott? Thanks for having me.
Absolutely thrilled to have you on. I gave what I hope was you felt a good introduction. I know you're a truck driver now. You haven't always been. So let's start with the infamous. How did you fall into logistics, and we'll work from there. So what got you into this crazy gig?
Most of the people that end up in this crazy gig, we didn't want to come here when we were first looking for a job.
Sure.
I got out of high school. I had to work 3 jobs to put myself through school to get a computer programming degree, but I forgot to learn how to do a job interview. So I'd get in the interview. I would choke on questions I knew the answers to.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just not going to hire that guy.
Sure.
So I get a job. I need to support myself. I ended up going, I was cleaning in a warehouse at the time. That was one of my 3 jobs. And I'm like, listen, can you move me over to picking? I need to make more money. I'm willing to go full time. I can't get a job in what I got my degree in. Yeah, they moved me over to picking. First day on the job, line you up in front of the shop steward. This is what they always did back then. They'd line you up in front of your steward and whoever's training you. And you'd get told what the job's all about, this, that, and the other thing. The only difference for me and the other people that were in that line, they already knew who I was. So immediately the first thing I'm getting is they're saying, you're not going to make it through the first hour. You cleaned bathrooms, you sweep the floor, you're not going to make it through the first hour. Huh? No, bitch. In about a year, I'm going to be your boss.
Okay, so when you're attacked with something like that, when somebody comes at you and challenges your ability, that drives you.
Oh yeah.
It doesn't knock you down.
No, not at all. Not at all.
So, why does that trigger you to be motivated to prove them wrong? I ask because growing up, I actually was the other way. It would make I believe that BS. So I always love understanding why it drives people because it's awesome.
So it actually goes back to when I was a kid, because all that was done when I was a kid was my parents were foster parents, and we're not going to go very much further into the story than that.
Okay.
But if you've heard many stories about how foster kids are treated, yeah, I'm on that list. Okay. So you're fighting for everything. When you're a foster kid, you're literally fighting for everything. All you want is someone to hug you and love you, and you're not getting it. So all you do is fight. My mother would always say, you're not good enough to do this. You're not good enough to do that. And that wasn't just to me. That was to any kids that she had in the house. Mm-hmm. So we were never good enough. And I was always, no, fuck you. I'm about to prove you wrong. And I'm going to move on with my life. And as soon as I was able to, I got out of the house. I put myself through college. I worked my way through. I got my own place to live in. I fed myself. Yeah, it was fucking Cheerios with beer in it half the time because I forgot to buy milk or couldn't afford milk that week, or it was ramen noodles because that's the cheapest shit on the planet. But I worked so from when I was a kid, I strived to always be better than what I grew up in, and then to try and give that to my kids.
That's awesome. That's great. So it was just having the constant fight. That's just what you knew.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And then you realize that wasn't the way though, and you've totally flipped on how. So you didn't let that affect negatively how you raise your own children.
No,
That's
not at
also
all.
interesting because because the reason we have abuse is because of abusers, right? So
Yeah.
it's interesting. You know, I'll say my family didn't come from necessarily from the best background, and I'm lucky that I was raised very well and very close to my parents. So, and again, they didn't come from the best. Um, so on your side, you were able to see that correction as well and be like, this isn't the way to go.
Yeah, listen, I haven't been perfect. I had a long way. I had to go through some therapy
Hmm.
and stuff like that. I still take meds for the anxiety and the depression and all of that. Let's not sugarcoat a thing.
Hmm.
Um, but I knew when I had kids that I wanted them to be better than I was. And I also wanted to make sure they knew the shit that I grew up in isn't what they're going to grow up in. Does it suck? Yeah. For, for them, what would have been their grandmother and their grandfather on my side, they died when they were little. They never got to meet them. You know, does it suck for them? They still have occasionally the sense of we want a family, but there isn't one there. You know, my wife's side of the family is the same thing. They were older, so they're gone. So the family is literally me, my wife, my two kids, and that's
Hmm.
where.
Yeah. And well, hey, it's great that you have that nuclear family as well. Because again, similar to you, we have an extended family, and there's nothing wrong with either side. But we aren't super close as well. It's our nuclear family. Myself, my two siblings, and my parents. And unfortunately, they're not together. But still, we've got that nucleus, and so I definitely relate to that. As far as that's what you're leaning on. You don't have all these cousins, aunts, uncles to reach out to, grandparents
No.
still around. Um, so yeah, no, that's fantastic that you're able to see that because again, my parents did that for me, and I love hearing it. Um, so I you know, so from there, I went a little left with the hey, so somebody putting you down drives you. So you're talking about this, this hiring manager, supervisor at the time saying, oh, you're not going to be able to make it. So
Yeah.
go from there.
That's pretty much it's like he looks at the people and he'll go down the line. He's like, you're not gonna make it, you might make it, you're gonna last an hour. He got to me, and like I said, they knew who I was. I wasn't
Hmm.
gonna make it through the first hour, is what he said. And
Hmm.
it's like, no, that's not gonna happen. So I had it in my head. It's like within a year, I'm gonna be over you. Within a year, I was over him.
Hmm.
Now, he was still that nasty son of a bitch, making all the new guys feeling like shit when they walked in. And then, oh, wait, we just promoted the guy you shit all over in the beginning. So it's not about revenge. It never is. It's about
Hmm.
growth and moving forward. So I remember calling him into the office one day after they did that same lineup, and he talked the same shit he always did. And I'm like, listen, dude, this is the last time that happens. What do you mean?
Hmm.
I said, no more. You're discouraging them before they even walk out on the floor.
Yeah.
If you can't do that, there's other people here that can. Oh, everything's seniority based. Yes. So be the senior head, be the shop steward, be the representative, and shut the fuck up and do the right thing. And
Hmm.
he realized I was serious, but it wasn't vindictive. I wasn't going in saying, "Oh, you do this again, you're gonna." Nah,
Yeah.
it's
You said
union.
enough.
I pretty much can't do anything. You're opening your mouth. You can't touch them.
Yeah.
You're just talking shit. That's what happens. But don't take the new guys and scare the shit out of them before they've even gotten out of the gate, because that's just not where it works.
Right, like, and why? Like, he probably thought, and correct me if I'm wrong. My first assumption is that he probably thought that it would weed out, people who were weaker, and also people, cream rises to the top, as they say, right? But
Yeah.
again, I fancy myself a pretty decent human being, and I would have been like, yeah, you're right, or just screw it, screw this guy. So I don't get motivated. I shut down. I'm a carrot, not a stick guy, I guess. Um, so that's great. I think again, that's great that you said that, and he recognized it too as just another professional. Like you said, you couldn't reprimand him outside of giving him a hard time, maybe, right? But
What's the point?
he recognized it was the right thing to do. Because
Mm-hmm.
like, what are you're gonna make your own job harder by putting him down right away?
Well, and it's amazing that that little change caused him to have more people that lasted longer, because he wasn't scaring the shit out of them on day one, on minute
Hmm.
one.
Hmm.
Oh, sure, here's your tax paperwork, here's your union paperwork. Oh, you done filling that? Let's go walk out on the floor. Oh, great. I'm gonna shit on you from the first second you walk out here.
Yeah.
Probably
Bad
not
breath,
come back.
terrible hairline.
Yep. He actually did have a terrible hairline.
Yeah, me too. That's why I got the hat on. Oh man. No, I hear you. So that's great. I'm happy that again you didn't like that kind of thing. It sounds like from our previous conversation, even before this, that you're really not a fan of a bully, which we'll definitely get into. Um, so again, 3 jobs to get through community college. You got the degree. Couldn't the interviewing didn't work out for you. Got into got onto the floor. What eventually got you behind the driver's seat? What made you switch to that?
Someone told me what they made.
Okay. When was this? When was this?
This was about a year after that.
Oh
So
no, so when they told you how much they made, like when was this in time?
it was probably 2 years in my career, so about 28 years ago.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and he told me what he made, and I looked at him. I'm like, "What? You're making what?" And it's like, "Okay, what do I got to do to make that?" He's like, "Go get your license."
Hmm.
I'm like, "Okay, no problem." I went, got the
Hmm.
permit. The company actually had the thing where they'd get you some windshield time, and they'd help you get your license. You could use one of their trucks. This was pre you need to take the class. Again, I'm old, so you didn't need to take the class back then. You know, I could still drive a stick, so but
There you go.
yeah. So I moved over, switched over to driver's trainer, driving training driver, whatever the hell you want to
Gotcha,
call it.
gotcha. I'm with you. I'm
But
picking up what you're throwing down. I was gonna say a lot of people I talk to do or have done that, so that's
yeah,
interesting. So is there a logical next step or extra money? What's the reason?
it's basically what it was is with overtime and everything, it was almost double what I was making in the warehouse. And it's like, okay, that's better. I need that.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, I still
Yeah.
blew it all, but I need it.
But you had more to blow. You had more to blow, and you had more
That-
fun.
yeah,
Um,
that's a separate issue, but yeah.
yeah, that's for episode 2, part 2. Okay, so were you over the road at first? Or like, what was your guy? I know that you're delivering domestically now.
Well,
Like,
no,
were
the
you over the road? That
fact of the matter is everything I've done, I've fortunately not had to go long over the road. I've had to
wow,
go, yeah, like I'm in a hotel right now for an overnight. I'll be in a hotel
that's
again
what's
this
up.
Thursday for another overnight. I would
Uh-huh.
do that. I'd take 2 days, but I never was gone for a week at a clip.
Yeah,
Excuse me, sorry. So it's like I'd be gone for a night, back the next day.
yeah,
And it was better for me than being gone for the whole week and all of that. So, and
yeah.
again, I made what I needed to make. Yeah, of course, we all wish it could be more, but I made what I needed to make.
Hmm. Yeah, that, like you said, just a better opportunity got into it, and you didn't have to go over the road. That's great. So, okay, so do you wish you had tried over the road, or you just really feel like what you ended up doing like was, like you said, better fit for you, not
If
just
I would,
something you wouldn't have wanted to do?
the honest answer is, if I went over the road, I
Hmm.
probably would have gotten, because I did get myself mixed in with a lot of drugs when I was younger, and I probably would have gotten too mixed in. I probably wouldn't be here right now if I went over the road.
Well, it looks like there's a reason that you didn't end up doing that then. Well, that's good to hear, and that's just because of the hours people used to have to drive, just being alone, no one else to tell you what to do, or it's
No,
just you.
that's an appealing part of the job, is to actually
Right.
not have
So I'm
somebody
saying, is that
standing
what would
over
have
you.
driven it? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. That's the appealing part.
Yeah, it's like that. That's the good part. Nobody's
Hmm.
watching over you. Nobody's standing over you. They just bitch and moan if you're late. Well,
Yeah.
somebody crashed. What the fuck you want me to do? But yeah, it's like nobody's literally over top of you when you're in the truck, but you do
Hmm.
have stuff you have to adhere to. You have receivers you have to deal with. You have customers you have to deal with. You have idiot drivers you have to deal with. You have angry drivers you have to deal with.
Hmm.
You have your hours of service. You have your regulations. You have you have your, oh shit, my truck stuffed today and I really don't have time. Oh, I just got pulled into a DOT stop. Shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a list of stuff. But once you get at it, it's like you go out there. Today's a good example. I went out there. I didn't hear from anybody. The phone didn't go off. I didn't touch anything. And it's just like, here's your beer. Move on to the next thing. I didn't have to talk
Yeah.
to anybody. I didn't have to talk to anybody outside of the customers today. And honestly,
Uh-huh.
half of my customers were drops that I have keys and codes to.
Oh, nice.
So I saw like virtually no one today. So it
Just
was
got
it was
to
kind of
just
nice.
chill out.
Yep.
Just be in your own head, clear it out. That's good.
Mhm.
That's good. Okay, so you stayed pretty much regional, we'll call it. And where are you right now? You said you're overnight. Where are you?
I'm up in Lake Placid right now.
That is super cool. All right, so I got to play in the Olympic Village. I got to play in those rinks as a kid during a tournament.
Seriously?
Yeah,
That's cool as hell.
yeah. And I was like 13. Yeah, I was like 13. Yeah, right before high school. I was like 13, 14. And I will say I did score in the 1980 arena, which was really cool.
Oh,
And I
that's
didn't know the
nuts.
story. Yeah, it was a really incredible experience. I only knew the story because my dad told me the story. Because I was born in '91, so like that trip is where I learned what it was all about, right?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, just to be able to play there. And my dad grew up in Winthrop, Massachusetts as well. So Mike Ruzioni was a couple years older than him. He was friends with his little brother, Vinny, and so he has memories of him coming back from like hockey tournaments and stuff, and so then understanding that a little bit, and then playing on the ice and then getting a very lucky one, may I say, but a potted one. That's really
Hey,
cool. So very cool
goals
that
are
you're up in
gold.
Lake Placid. Yeah, hey, they don't ask how, right?
Nope. Nope.
Ask how many. So yeah,
Win by
that was
one, win by 10. Who cares?
yeah, and that was really really cool. So funny that you're up there. I only saw it in the winter, but I feel like that was the only time I ever went pond hockey too. The only time I ever played pond hockey.
It's actually better up here in the winter as far as if you like a nice view, if you like, because
Yeah,
like I'll walk out. Yeah, they didn't cheap out on this hotel like they did the other one, but I'll walk
that's
out on
nice.
the balcony and I'll be staring over the lake that's right across. That's from when you were there. It's just down the road and across the street from where you
Right
were.
there.
And
Yeah,
you can just stare out, watch the sun come up, watch the sun go down if you get in early enough, and just like right now, I can go out and look, and the lights on the street and all of that. It's just such a beautiful view. And
yeah,
as it snows and all of that, it just becomes that much better of a view. It actually becomes a relaxing experience to go sit out there. Just it could be 5 below 0 up here. Sit out there and just collect your thoughts and relax.
that's awesome. So do you go through Lake Placid a lot?
I used to go through here every week. Then we had to do some route splitting, and I
Mhm.
end up most of my time is actually spent in the Plattsburgh neck of the woods, so even further
Okay,
north.
gotcha, gotcha. Okay, so I think you gotta tell them then that this is the hotel you need from now on when you go through Lake Placid.
Oh, this is the hotel we stay in Lake Placid.
It's always okay. So you said the last one, you mean a different spot,
Yeah,
like a different city, different
The
town.
Plattsburgh hotel is a different one. It's not as nice as
Okay,
this, but it is right off the highway, so it's kind of convenient.
yeah, yeah.
But
Plus,
yeah,
you always
this
get to
is
stay there. Nice.
this one's gorgeous. Like this, I could live in this room.
Oh, it looks like a bed and breakfast kind of like inn feel, which I think they
It,
all kind of are up there.
it kind of does have that feel, but it's like
Mhm.
5 stories, and yeah, you can hear people banging over your head and yelling underneath you. But it wouldn't be a hotel if you didn't hear that.
Right. I hear you. I hear you. Oh, cool, man. So I know that there was a specific topic and message that you wanted to get across today. So I do want you to tell that in your own way. And it's bouncing off of one of the questions we always ask people. One is one of your most memorable experiences you've had. And usually we hope that they're funny, they're light, but sometimes they're not. And that's one of the things I'm learning. They're not always the light funny, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said this, saw this, heard this, experienced this, right? And this actually kind of falls under that. I can't believe they experienced this. So you have a specific message off this story you want to deliver. So I want you to be able to do that. So if you'd like to do that now.
All right, so thank you, appreciate that. What a
Absolutely.
lot of people don't realize is just how badly they're treating the drivers out there. These guys are getting in a truck that they have more responsibilities and more headaches to drive than you in your little car. But yet you drive like a maniac, you cut them off, and God forbid you talk to them with some respect. Talk to any driver, they'll have a story about somebody talking to them like they're a piece of shit and pissing them off and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's time that really does need to stop. You're talking about a group, and I only found this one out 2 months ago. You're talking about a profession that has a life expectancy of 61 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they don't have it like you. We do not have it like you people who put your suit on and go sit behind a desk or anything. We're outside. When it's snowing, we're working in it. When it's raining,
Mm-hmm.
we're working in it. Where are you? Behind a little desk. Maybe just going to your grocery store. And yet you have the balls to talk to these people like they are the shit on the bottom of your shoe. And that's got to stop. These guys are working hard. They are not the dumbest person on the planet, yet they're treated that way. Next time you see a driver, don't ask them if they got free fucking samples. Ask them how their fucking day is going, for fuck's sake.
So is this experiences you've had, experiences you've heard, or all of the above?
Both.
Both.
Yep.
Where do you hear these stories from other drivers?
Dude, all over the place. If I stop in at a truck stop and I start talking to another driver, we'll exchange stories sometimes. And then I got like 15 or 16 other drivers that work immediately with me. And we've all got stories to tell. And everybody's got at least one instance where someone treated them like they weren't worth. I mean, hell, how many times have you seen the guy stop for the little yellow cardboard cutout in a crosswalk that says stop for pedestrians in a crosswalk, but they don't actually stop for the pedestrian in the crosswalk?
Yeah.
So it's like there's a whole thing where you can pretty much ask almost any driver and they will have some instance of someone speaking down to them. Where that particular moment, you actually like, why am I here? Why am I sitting here?
So to call it out, of course, there are too many specific stories, I'm sure, to go to list them all off. I know there's a specific one you want to get to, but just to color the picture a little bit more, who are some of the like groups of folks who are some of the biggest offenders, and maybe people who don't realize they are those groups as well?
The
Like, what
ones
are the
that
types you run into?
the ones that don't realize are the ones that just think they're being funny. They think they're making a joke. They think that it's not always a joke, guys. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you don't know what that guy's day is like. And I saw one driver snap on someone, not physically, but verbally, because you just made the wrong joke at the wrong time. And the guy was having a really bad day.
Yeah.
And you don't know what's going on with the other person. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe don't make that joke. Maybe
Yeah.
also don't pull the door shut when they're walking up. Actually, like, have some respect, hold it open, especially when a guy's got a full hand truck of stuff.
Why would they do that?
That's usually rich people.
Ah.
That's usually rich people. They open the door, they pull it closed behind you. That behind them, they're not even paying attention to what's going on around them. That is
So you're
usually.
talking just general like John Q and Jane Q public because they're
Yep.
delivering to physical stores. So it's not necessarily it's the dock workers, it's the security. It's literally just people out in public walking into a
Usually
Wawa,
most.
walking into a
Yep. Usually, most of the time, the security is pretty cool with the drivers. They'll tell you their rules as long as you don't, you're not an asshole. They won't be an asshole.
yeah,
As far as any of the dock workers or anything at places that we go to, same thing. All the customers I go to, most of the customers I go to, even the pickiest ones,
right.
they still treat you with a modicum of respect, and it's kind of cool. But you'll hear drivers talk about a receiver. It's like, oh, I
Hmm.
had to. They sent me here a day before my appointment. They actually they could have gotten me in, but they were nasty to me because I'm a driver. It's not my fault they sent me a day early, but now I have to sit here in this truck for a day and wait
Yeah,
for them to feel. And then, oh, my appointment's 9 o'clock. Well, now it's 10. Now I've been still sitting here.
yeah.
So
But
it's
if you're
like,
late, you're screwed.
yes, but but God forbid they make a mistake and send you early. There's that
Yeah,
story. I've heard that story numerous times over the year about that.
those are a lot of big box shippers. They're the ones who get real tough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, and I guess with something that size, you have to have parameters that you stick to, but it's like you also have to be human, you know?
well, that's the thing. It's like, fine, if you're gonna make the guy wait the day for your appointment, at least get him into his appointment.
At least pay
Now,
them.
that would be nice too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I hear you. I tried. So I was a freight broker for a little over a total of 5 years. Um, and I was on the customer sales side, so I didn't deal with drivers and carriers so much. But I will say, like, just everybody's got their gripe with everybody, but I do like to think that after being on that side, being tech, starting to talk to folks like yourself, like I am really leaning towards the driver side of it as far as like who to advocate for and who to say like, hey, this is where I put my vote on this side, right? Because like all the things you're saying are true, and I think it's outside of drivers as well, but it's just people don't they won't even give, even if they're treating you, I guess, respectfully or dismissively, right? If they're not giving you actually a hard time or putting you down for who you are, they don't even care that you're there. They don't care that you exist. So, and again, that's again driver or otherwise, right? It could just be me walking into the same gas station to get whatever, or yourself, when you're not working, and it's wild. So I think it's just this natural aloofness that people need to snap out of because
Yeah.
I think the most people you talk to say like, "Hey, be a good person, head up, smile, nice." But I think people forget, and I think a lot of it's the phones. We don't have to go down that road. But I do think overall there's just something lacking, and it's good to hear though that the people you work with in business though aren't reciprocating the negativity.
Yeah.
They're actually doing better than that.
Yeah, remember, I'm delivering beer. I'm going into the restaurant. I'm going into the kitchen. I'm
Hmm.
seeing the waitresses, the waiters, the kitchen staff. This
You know 'em.
they get the same shit though. If you think
Yeah,
about it,
yeah,
if the food comes out a little wrong or a little bit, how many times have you heard somebody get belligerent with their wait staff
yeah,
or someone at the bar, even the bartender? It's like they go through literally the same shit.
yeah.
So
No, I hear you. I remember I was in the food business a while myself, and yeah, you do get a lot of it, no matter what. My sister and brother are still in it. I don't know how they're doing it. They're tougher than me. But so I know building off that, you had a specific instance this year that occurred,
yeah.
that you wanted to again give as an example the stuff you mentioned before, but also again maybe you'll have more to add after that. But there is a specific instance that really paints this picture for you.
Yeah. So I was coming out of a stop. It was whatever was before that bad hurricane that tore North Carolina up. The
Helene,
one, huh?
Helene.
Yeah, it was the one before that one. It had come
Okay.
up, and we just had nasty rains up here.
Hmm.
But at times they were blinding. So I'm pulling out of one stop, and my other stop's diagonally across the street from it. So there's a traffic light over here, but about a block away.
Hmm.
So this person waves me out as I'm coming in. So I pull up to the double yellow line and I look. Closest person is at the light. I pull through. I go into the back parking lot of the stop and I go to throw the four ways on and I start to go to back up. There's a car behind me. This happens all the time because they don't know what you're going to do. It's just they're not mind readers. So and like always, I pop the air brake, I hop out the truck, and I'm signaling, I need to go here. Can you just go by? Dude gets out of the car and starts screaming at me that I pulled out in front of him. And he starts going off all belligerent. He hit me 3 or 4 times, maybe even more, but who knows? But he hit me
Like with
three or four
a
times,
fist, bald fist.
bald fist, right in the chest. Thankfully, not in the face, but in the chest.
Hmm.
And he went on and on about how I pulled out in front of him, this, that. And it's like, all right, you know what? I'm in a company truck. I'm in a company shirt. There's a 99% chance if I retaliate and try to defend myself or say anything, I'm not going to have a job. And then how do I feed my kids? So I'm going to put my hands in my pocket and I'm going to let him get it all out. And he blows and he blows and he blows, he screams. And it's like, all right, I'm very sorry if I pulled out in front of you. Well, the fact that I said if kind of set him off. He's like, not if, that you pulled out in front of me. Like, oh,
Someone
shit.
pissed in his Cheerios. His
Yeah,
wife
it's
must
like,
beat him
oh
up or
shit,
something. I don't know.
here we
Bad home.
fucking go. It's like, so he goes back to the car. And again, mind you, I have not pulled my hands out of my fucking pockets. He
Hmm.
gets back, he opens the passenger side of the door, and now I'm like, oh shit, what's he got in there? Maybe he's just getting in to leave. Nope, he can get in to leave. He comes back with a baseball bat. And he starts twirling
Guy's
it
got a
around.
bat in his car.
Yeah, he had a bat in his car. It's common up here. People play softball and shit. You never know what the
Yeah,
fuck they
true,
got in their.
true, true.
You don't know
All right.
what they have in their cars up here. You know?
Well, down in Florida, we know it's a gun, so we just I just don't say anything.
Up here, you don't.
Right.
You have no idea what's in that car.
Might be Negan. Might be Negan.
Mhm. But yeah, so he's twirling the bat around in his hand like a batter that's walking up to the plate, getting ready to hit. And I'm just like, okay,
Hardo.
that's enough. So now the phone comes out of the pocket, and I'm like, sir, I could just call the police and we could just have you deal with them because I don't need to do this. I work for these people. And again, I've already apologized to you, but you're still going. You
Uh-huh.
want me to call the cops so you deal with them? I don't need to be messing with somebody swinging a bat at me, and you've already put your hands on me a couple of times.
Yeah.
Oh no, no police, no police. No, there's a milk guy on the dock, and he's seeing this whole thing, and he just looks and he's looking and he's looking, and I'm like, all right, at least I got one witness to everything I'm doing, because we're
Hmm.
behind the truck. The camera on
Yeah.
my truck doesn't record in the back; it only records in the front. So there's nothing that's going to be. The only thing that camera showed was what he said about me pulling out in front of him was not true.
Right.
But by the time we get to review that tape, this is long done.
Yeah.
You know, so I threaten to call the cops. He starts to walk back to his car. This is what gets him to back down. He starts to walk back to his car. He puts the bat back in the car. As he's getting back in his car, the last thing he yells to me is, "Go back on welfare, motherfucker." I
Wow.
never I'm not going to badmouth anybody who uses welfare because some people actually need it. But
Yeah. It
for my
exists for a
life, I
reason.
have not been one that's needed it. I've
Hmm.
fought and clawed and paid for everything my damn self, ruined my
Hmm.
credit, the whole 9 yards to get whatever I have to for myself and my family. So
Hmm.
you don't know what the fuck. Why the fuck are you talking to somebody this way in the first place?
Hmm.
And this is just an example. It's like this is road rage gone too far.
Hmm.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
road rage is a really bad thing right now. You see, if you look, I think it's Rob Carpenter is posting a bunch of stuff on LinkedIn of various videos from the trucks of what people are doing with the brake checks and just the aggravation. There was one somebody posted of a motorcycle kicking a car. You
Yeah.
know, and it's just like these road rage instances are out of hand.
Oh, people
It's
are pulling
just
weapons on each other, pulling guns, like you said, the bat. Like it's
and,
insane.
and the worst part is it's usually just because someone made a mistake. You're human.
Yeah.
We fuck up all the time, and
Hmm.
this is what all these instances forget because we let our tempers get the better of us. It's like
Yeah.
we every day we screw something up. Maybe something small, maybe something big. But if you look at every day, you have made at least one mistake every day of your life. Because that's how
Yeah.
you learn.
Hmm.
That's the best way to learn. But this needs to stop, and people need to start treating each other with some kind of modicum of respect, because
Yeah.
this it's just and again it's just, why is the poor truck driver literally spoken to and treated like he's no better than dog shit in a park?
Yeah. And yeah, it really doesn't make sense why certain professions get that bad rap. In this case, we're talking specifically drivers, because in earlier conversations I've had, people talk about um, hey, like some of these guys are college graduates, some of them are or were business owners. Even if you're anything outside of a company driver, and even as a company driver, you still, like you said, there's all these other things you've got to keep in line. It's like, are you running a Fortune 100? No, but you're safely driving an up to 80,000 pound plus vehicle down the road and not taking out the little stick figure family like that, while managing all the things you just talked about. So it's like, I don't know where the blue collar jobs started getting a bad rap. Like there's no such thing, there's no such thing as a job that doesn't have honor to it. Like my dad always said, like my dad always told me, my parents always told me, like, dude, you can shovel shit against the tide as long as you can pay your bills. Doesn't
Yep.
matter. As long as you can eat. Like there's no shame in doing anything. And I know it's very hard and it's trying and it's a lot of difficult things on the men and women who are drivers, especially over the road drivers, just with how long they're away, on top of everything else that we're discussing.
Yeah, especially
But
your
like it's especially them, right? But it's like it's a job that I've grown to greatly admire. And I'm not blowing smoke because you're on here and that's what the podcast is about. But like that, it's one of the reasons I started it. It's like, no, there's a story that you got to get out here, and everyone's what I'm learning is everyone's different. Everyone's story is different. Everyone's experience is different. And I don't know why I was surprised by that, but it's just, you just what I'm getting out of it isn't what I expected, as usual with everything. But it's just very interesting what I'm learning and hearing because it's a lot of different perspectives with similar, going down similar avenues.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And I actually read, to your point about the road rage, I read an article this past weekend about road rage in Texas specifically, and it was going into a lot of. They believed one of the reasons I skimmed it. It was a long article, but one of the reasons they believed was just all the information that we're getting hit with all the time, and a lot of it negative, and having to do this and that, and our calendars pinging for everything, the phone ringing, the text, the social media, and it's just something that you can snap at. You do, like some nameless, faceless person in another car who cut you off intentionally or otherwise, right, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's where part of it's coming again, the phones, but I don't know why it's been aimed so much at the blue collar worker who, quite frankly, a truck driver, everything. I say this all the time, but everything in any room you're in was at some point on a truck. Like, why are you guys getting a hard time? It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. So how were you able to keep your cool during that incident? Because I don't have too short of a fuse, and I'm certainly not a fighter, but it would have been very hard for me not to. Like, if somebody actually hit me,
it was not easy. But again, like I said, I'm in a company tag shirt. I'm in a company truck. I knew it. It's written on the wall. I've seen it happen before. You get in an altercation with someone while you're on the clock, you're done. And all I thought of was, I got a wife and 2 kids at home, and I got to keep a roof over their heads. It's not time to fight. And you know what? I'm not going to be the guy who's going to come out and say, "Oh, I've won every." Fuck that. I've lost more fights than I've won, and I can't. And I'm so old, I can't remember how many I've been in. But and none of them were ever worth it.
No,
so what's the point?
Tend not to be,
What was the point to me swinging back? Is nothing. Let him get it out. But then he gets a bat. It's like, now I'll call.
Well, this is a different story.
Call the cops.
Well, it's a different story, And you're talking about the stuff Rob Carpenter's posting. He was actually on the last episode. We had a very different conversation, but still a lot. He turned me on the Project 61 thing, which I know you're a part of. I'm trying to put my money where my mouth is a little bit, or at least get involved with the things I say I'm passionate about right now that I'm doing this. So that, and again, he's had a very interesting story too. The beginning of how he started this actually reminded me a bit of him because he had a tough upbringing as well. That if you listened, you've heard. But either way, not the easiest start, I'll say. And 2 guys who have paved the life for themselves. I mean, and then again, back-to-back episodes. So again, it's just proof to what you guys are capable of. You guys and gals are capable of, and what you can accomplish. So that's what I'm getting out of this so far.
Yeah, there's some good people behind the wheels of them trucks. There's some good people, and just start to treat people like people, please, including the people driving the cars and trucks around you.
Okay, so actually, I have an idea, and this actually. What do you think about we have like a light but still educational, like grind my gears, like stuff that people do on the road that is either unsafe or drives you nuts, and we're gonna tell them how to do it better. What do you think? I think that's a good idea.
That's a whole nother podcast. You know how much you could fill with that?
Well, that was kind of like part of the origin for this, but I do always ask about that. I'm curious about that because I always make sure, like, I drive a pretty quick car. I love it. But I always give drivers so much room, like at least 3 car lengths before I'm coming over. Like, I'm always accelerating around big time. I don't want to give them away. Like, what are some things that, like, when you're behind the wheel, good, bad, or indifferent, or I guess funny, serious, or in the middle, like, just what are some like things people do that they really need to stop doing against safety or otherwise, any topic, and how can we help them be better?
The first one is
Yeah.
starts right with motorcycles and cyclists. Hey,
Okay.
why is it when you're stuck in traffic, does that motorcycle feel the need to drive down the shoulder where there's exit and entry ramps, or in between lanes where one wrong move, because now you're in a blind spot, gets you killed because you're on a bike?
Right.
Oh, that would be the first and foremost. It's like, what are you doing? You stop that. Why can't
And are
you
you
sit in
saying,
traffic like everyone else?
so for the motorcyclists, are you saying that, because I have a devil's advocate to this. I don't ride bikes myself, but I've heard the other side of this, so I'm interested to hear your take. So are you saying by anybody or just by semis, motorcycles?
No, by anybody.
By anybody.
By
Okay, so
absolutely anybody. What are you doing? Because how many people do you know? They don't look in the mirror before they change lanes.
oh no, yeah, there's go.
So
Well, they should. They
if
should.
that bike's there and they're trying to shove over, you
Mhm.
have nothing protecting you but that Kevlar you're wearing if you're wearing it.
Right. And in some states, like Florida, you don't need to wear a helmet. So see ya.
Yep.
Um, so okay, so the devil's advocate side to that, and I'm only using this one now because I've heard it and I've seen it on the internet, is people say that and they say, okay, the reasons we don't stay behind the car in traffic is because a lot of times the drivers aren't paying attention, like you said, and they get run into. So it's better for them to keep moving, is their argument. But I see your side too, because like you said, if someone's not paying attention, so that's interesting. What are your thoughts on that?
It's the
And
same argument.
I'm not trying to
No, you're
chump you.
good.
I want your side.
No, you're good, because I had
Mhm.
this conversation numerous times with my wife, who in her younger years was actually a motorcycle person,
Oh, you've heard
and
it all
she
then.
gave me the exact same thing, and I just looked at her. I said, "Who's hitting you? Have you really been hit by someone's car when you're on the highway? Who's hitting you?" And she actually didn't have a response back. But again, she was doing it when she was younger. I wouldn't be surprised if they're getting hit, but
Yeah,
then they have to figure out a better way, because them driving between that lane, if they're saying it's
certainly
because people are
dangerous. Certainly
if
dangerous.
people are hitting them and not paying attention, you're setting yourself up there, because when
Yeah.
you're along the side door of everything,
Uh-huh.
so you can get hit if they're not paying attention here when you're right in front of them. What makes you think they're paying attention when you're to the side of them?
Yeah.
Unless you've got one of those loud ones.
No, that's a good point because like you're in front. Yeah, you're in front. There's a better chance of seeing you at the side.
Yeah.
I figured that might be the argument, and that makes sense. I just saw again. It was recency bias. I saw a real ugly collision. They're in standstill traffic, and they just crunched them. Um, but yeah, it was just bad. Like not like you didn't see them get pinned. They just got smoked. Okay, so that's number one. The motorcycles. What's next? What sticks out?
Pay attention when the red light turns green, not your phone.
That's my number one, John.
I
If
can't.
you're
I
at the
am
front,
not an air
the people
horn
at the
guy.
front.
I am
I'm a
not
huge
an
horn
air
guy.
horn guy, but I've been
Huge
using it a
horn guy.
lot.
Yeah.
Oh,
You get a hard two count with me. If I'm the second car, or if you're the car in front of you, you get a hard two count. And then, but if you're not first, like you get it as soon as they're gone. There's no two count. It's like the cars are pulling away and you're not. I give them a little
yes.
tap. But if I'm second and they're first and they're on their phone as the first person, I think they should just be thrown off a cliff. Just those people just
I'll scare the shit out of them now. It's like I
oh,
was
the
never,
horn.
I was
Yeah.
never one for the air horn. I didn't like it. It kind of gives me a headache when I have to honk it. But
That's fair.
now it's screw it. Beep.
It's crazy. And again, back to the phones. Like, get off the phones, people. Oh man. Okay, so it's people on the phones at the green light. Love it. Number three. So far
Pedal
we have
bikes.
stay in your lane. Stay in your lane as motorcyclists. Clean it up with the phones. Put the phones away. You know.
Pedal bikes and pedestrians are another one.
Okay.
So you have how many times have you seen somebody with their signal on? And I know that doesn't happen all the time, but they have their signal on. They're going to make a right. There's no one there. You got this biker. And I remember reading somewhere that for the most part, these people on bikes should follow most of the same traffic laws.
Bikes are supposed to follow traffic laws. They're
So
not even supposed to be on sidewalks. I'm guilty of that, but
I
If
think
you're
we've
on the
all done
street,
that.
you follow. If you're on the street, you follow traffic laws. 100%.
Yep. But now, how many times you've seen that person in that right turn, and all of a sudden there's a bike there?
Yeah.
Because they never stopped, they never did anything, or the bike going through the intersection while traffic's going, and they're not even going that way, or the pedestrian. You don't have the green light. This is my favorite one.
Jaywalking.
And you just keep fucking walking.
Oh yeah, on the phone. Yeah.
Yeah,
Throw them off the
didn't
cliff
look.
too.
You didn't look, you didn't stop, you didn't nothing, and you just keep walking. It's like, oh my god, you're gonna die.
Right. So my take on that is that if the other person wasn't scarred for life for having hit that person and potentially ended their life, I say let them get smushed. Like Darwinism, just let it happen.
We had one guy.
But
It
again,
happened.
the person who hits them, like they're screwed up for life. Like even
Yep.
if they did everything right.
It happened to one of the guys I used to work with. He was
Oh,
never
wow.
able. He was so mentally fucked up when he hit that bike, and he was
Yeah.
driving a truck, so he's got a bigger blind spot than the car. You know, so he was so mentally fucked up, he couldn't even come back to driving. He can't even drive his own car to this day. Still, it's been about 7.
No.
Yep, been about 7
You
years.
can't.
He will not drive. He
Wow.
will not drive at all.
That's interesting. So I thought it dumb at the time and not the same thing. But I totaled a car when I was 17. And the afternoon that it happened, I got home. My parents made me go drive around our street in one of their cars because they're like,
Yep.
you'll be afraid. You'll be afraid. And again, not the same thing, but being 17 and totaling a car is still scary.
Yes.
Totaling a car ever is scary. But yeah, they made me get, I was like, what? I'll be fine. Like, do it. I just right in the neighborhood. That's it. But
Yep. Yeah, no. Yeah, it's just amazing. It's like everybody on the road needs to be a little more attentive to what they can do, because we can all kill each other with the things we're driving.
easily, so easily. Like when somebody cuts you off, they didn't cut you off. Like you almost died. Like, right there every
Seriously.
time. Like you're flying around in 4,000 to 5,000 pound vehicles as a normal four wheeler, as I've heard we're called. Yeah, and wow. Okay.
And doing the 3 or 4 lane switches to an exit ramp as the exit's almost ending.
Yeah.
So
Again, throw them off the cliff too. Like all these people, like shouldn't like. There's a certain like set of rules. It's like my own fictitious set of rules, and it's ever growing, and I should start writing it down. But it's like reasons people should just not be allowed to reproduce, because I do believe that it's not a right. Like I think only, and I'm not talking about anyone specific. I'm saying like you do certain dumb things.
yeah.
You're just off the list. Like you can live a perfect life. You just can't. Like we don't need more of you. That's it. Has nothing to do with who you are. It's what you do.
You could probably write a book and make a shit ton of money with that one.
It's almost like a spin-off of like the Darwinism book.
Dude, seriously, join
Or like
Kling and
Dumb Ways
Smith
to
on
Die.
writing books. There you go.
I know, yeah, Kling, exactly. He's actually in my living room right now. We're about to watch at this time of recording. This is going to come out, I think, around December. But we're about to go, not to get into it, but we're about to go watch the debate after this. So yeah, Kling and Smith's the election. She's my living room right now, and yeah, it's funny you bring up Kling and Smith. You know, Rob Carpenter was our last guest. Before this, you know, you talk about Project 61. Unless you have more pet peeves, we can hop over to that because I know you care about Project 61, and I'm getting involved
No,
too.
we can move on. We can move on. I don't want people to think we're bitching and moaning about others on the
But
road.
that's the fun part. No,
Yeah.
so okay, so it's motorcycles stay in the lane. Bicyclists obey traffic laws. Pedestrians, get your heads out of your butts. Also, the person who's in line first on the green light, get off your damn phone.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we're cleaning up the roads, John. All right, so you mentioned a few people that I also know and are also people in the logistics space. Again, Nick Smith, Mike Lombard, Project 61, Rob Carpenter. Let's shift to the Project 61 a little bit. Talk about what it means to you, because again, we're really getting to the advocacy side of things today, and then we'll wrap up with some other shout outs I know that you had wanted to give as well.
All right, so with the Project 61, with these guys, this all started with Mike Lombard. He did the logistics lounge with Rob Peterson and Hunter Woodfin, and he started talking
Shout out,
about
boys.
Yep, he started talking about this diet that he has, and I'm sitting there and
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the chat, and after he talked about it, I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll do it.
Okay.
So it's like tomorrow's day 63, so I've got about 6 or 7 more days.
How's that going?
I'm down 20-ish pounds.
In 60 days?
Yeah.
Hell
So
yeah, man! Congratulations.
thank
Good for
you.
you.
But so with that, Lombard started seeing it's like, oh, this guy's driving a beer truck. He's getting steps in because part of his diet is 7,500 steps a day, regardless of
Mm-hmm.
how. Just get
Just
7,500
get them.
steps
Yeah,
a day.
I have 8,000 myself. Yep.
But so he's like with that, and then he sends me this link to this Step Up app. And it's the Project 61. To this
Mm-hmm.
day, I have no idea how many steps a day they are looking for, but they're just, as far as I know, they're just looking for steps. There's a whole lot of people in it. It started November 1st. It runs till December 31st. 61 days, which is the average lifespan of a truck driver, 61 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Of just getting steps, walking around, and raising awareness to the fact that truck driver health is something that's not thought of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not taken care of. And even us as drivers, shit, I didn't take care of myself.
It's hard. It's hard to
I would
do.
have rather had the Twinkie than the apple a lot,
Of
but
course.
but it's like, can I have that? Then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, now you're pre-diabetic, now you're overweight, now you got high blood pressure. Shit. So with Lombard, that's where it started, and he got me involved in Project 61. And now it's like, let's get the word out there. Let's get as many drivers and as many people aware of this. Because like I said, I wasn't aware of the lifespan of a driver until a couple of months ago when I met Lombard.
Yeah.
So that's got to mean the millions of people driving a truck, there's a lot more that don't know that.
Yeah.
At
And
the
that's not
same
even
time,
technically retirement age. It's like
yep.
wild.
Yeah, so we'd like to get that out there. We'd like to bring it aware, let guys
Mm-hmm.
know, let girls know, whoever, anybody who wants to do it, share it, have fun with it.
Yeah. No, I signed up for it myself. Rob Carpenter called me out a little bit. And so I was like, hey, I already track my steps every day anyway. And I figured there'd be people higher than me. Again, I try to hit like 8,000 or so a day. I'm one of those soft people you talked about, John, that sits behind a desk. But same concept in that you can easily do nothing for your health, which I
Yep.
didn't for many years. So I went through my own health journey over the last 3 years, and he had me set up. So I track everything I do all the time. I'm like, well, what I have to do is download the app. So if you download the app, attach it, and it attaches right to your,
Yep. And that's
right
it.
to your watch or the steps on your phone, whatever. It's just that easy. I'm like, all right, I can do that. So
Yeah,
it's
and
all
then
you do is sign up.
see this long ass list of names that's on there, and you can see who's kicking the shit out of you and who you're, and it's
I see
just a
people
little
like 20 something thousand a day. I'm like, what are you
there was
doing? And I'm like, they got to work in a warehouse.
there was somebody up on there a couple of Saturdays, back to back Saturdays of 56,000.
Yeah, like what are you doing? They must work in like a warehouse, like double shifting. Like I don't know.
I don't know, but they're getting it and
Because
they're
my
helping.
mom
So.
works in a kitchen. If my mom works in a kitchen in the morning from like she works at a school, if she's in a kitchen from like 6:30 to like 2, and then if she caters at night, she'll get like 25,000.
Yep.
So which is a lot. And she's a little lady, little 5'5" Polish lady, like Marvin Martian, just buzzing around. And I'm like, Ma, sit down. Anyways, but so that's like 25,000. I'm like, she's moving her ass all day.
Yep.
So like, what are you doing? Like you're the big runner, or you're working in like a warehouse double shift. That's like all I can think of.
Or it's
For who's
something.
in this group, right? Who's in this group?
Yeah, like the last time I had actually it was in September. I had my DOT
Mhm.
physical, so I was in the warehouse that day because I couldn't get the
Yep.
appointment before 3 o'clock. So I'm in the warehouse that day, walking around. I'm doing everything. I had 20 or 21,000 steps that day.
Yeah.
And it's
Coming.
just like, and made their beer pour up front. So,
You earned it though. You earned it.
oh no, I didn't get to drink it. I just made it pour
Oh,
for them.
oh, you poor.
I am the guy who makes beer pour. Yes.
Hey, that's fine. Everybody's got a role. I'm not really much of a drinker myself. It's really like very like special occasions. Is really it. Or if I just run like an obstacle course race, then I'll take one or both of the free beers they give you. I'm like, well, shoot, like I just did all that. Let's go
Yeah,
get a burrito and have a couple beers. Like,
yeah, you were in that one.
yeah, for sure. So, again, we've talked about a few different people. Anybody else? We talked about Lombard, Project 61, Rob Carpenter, Nick Klingensmith, other people that you wanted to bring up, shout out, give them kudos for anything. I always like to give that opportunity as well.
Well, without the guys from the Logistics Lounge, I wouldn't even be on this podcast. So let's thank Rob Peterson and Hunter Woodfin and those guys.
Absolutely.
They have a great show. They given me a box a few times. They're cool as fuck. I talk to Rob almost all the time outside. We're doing the same diet with Lombards.
Nice.
Yeah.
Accountability buddies. That's good.
With that, but then you got to go to the person who started this all. So in this industry, there's a lot of no, I don't want to keep you close. I don't want to reach out a nice hand. I don't know who you are. Well, one person turned and reached out a very nice hand to me, and she's the reason that I've met all the people that I've met, and I've kind of gone from on the brink of wanting to jump off a cliff, because that's literally where I was, and now I've met all these people, and my life has changed for the better, and she's going to tell you I give her too much credit, because that's what she tells me all the time. But Shimmi Munson, without you, I'd be off the cliff.
Wow, shout out Shimmi. That is awesome. Her and I connected actually over our mutual love of the Bruins. Interestingly enough, that she's in the Pacific Northwest, whereas I'm from Massachusetts.
Why?
I claim to be the bigger
for a
fan.
bad hockey team, though?
I mean, they're bad right now, but look at Bam Bam Cam back there.
No.
That's beautiful. You can't hate on Bam Bam Cam.
I hate on the Bruins. I'm a Rangers fan. I hate on the Bruins.
Yeah, I know. So you're a Messier guy. I understand. But that's fine. But I love Messier too, because he was just an animal. Cam Neely's like one of those guys. So I can see he's also a power forward enforcer. So I could see why you wouldn't, right?
Few too many hits.
Yeah. Now he's the president whipping around water bottles during the playoffs when they can't score because they love not scoring. They're actually playing the Maple Leafs right now. I have to check up on that after we hop off. But so you're a Rangers fan. All right. So tell me about your experience with the 94 Rangers. We'll wrap it up with that.
Actually, I worked through most of that, so I actually got to see the last 2 minutes of the last game of the Stanley Cup, and that was why the rest of that season was just keeping track of it in the newspaper. Cell phones weren't a thing, so it's newspaper. You had ESPN was around at that point, so you had Sports Center, and whatever local news would report on it. So the entire season, that was how I got it, because all I was doing was working.
Just running around.
I worked nights at the time at that point, so I didn't get to see most of the game. Last 2 minutes of that entire season in that cup, that was what I saw it, and I went a little batshit in the house.
And how about in the conference final, him just calling the game 6 win to 4-7 and getting the hat trick. And what I didn't know is there was a hat trick. Wasn't it 2 in the third and 1 in OT, or was it 3 in the third?
I think it was 3 in the third, if my memory serves me right.
Well, yeah, quiet all night, low scoring, then boom, boom, boom. Like he calls it, like I gotta make this happen. Boom, hat trick. Like, and for his was that his sixth? For his 6th ring.
Yep, I think that was his 6th. Yeah.
Like, what an animal! Like he can't do anything wrong. Like he can't. Like you just don't even try to get to that, because that's just a different stratosphere.
Yes, but he wore that jersey and played in that.
I know. So. That's so cool.
And that's where he belonged. That's exactly where he belonged.
Oh, 100%. No, it's cool to see it. Like I'm obviously like a Boston sports fan. I'm obviously not a New York sports fan.
We won't talk about 2004.
That's fine. I don't want to bring back the pain.
We
won't talk about this year either. We won't talk about 20 years later, 2024 either.
No.
But hey, my team didn't make the playoffs.
Do we actually not want to talk about that? Do we want to make fun of the $30 million guy who couldn't hit the ball, but could hit the ball all regular season?
Yeah, I didn't follow any of it. I just saw some of the highlights, and not only did I relish in the loss, but
Sure you did.
But I will say though, even though I am a Boston sports fan, I'll still always appreciate. Like, I'm not the guy who's gonna like scream at another fan anymore. Like, I just want to like watch the game, enjoy it, and anybody who's like wicked good, I don't care who you play for. Like, I'll say so. I'm also the guy who will call out his team when, like, say there's a hooking penalty and everybody freaks out because they can't, God forbid they call a penalty on your team. But I'll be the guy like, no, he friggin' hooked him like bad. Like I'll call it out. I don't care.
I'll usually admit it once I see the replay, because usually in the moment it goes too fast for me to see it. But when they show the replay, it's like, oh, I'll admit it, but I'm still talking shit the whole way.
Oh yeah,
the
okay.
whole way. Yeah, no, still talking.
All
shit.
right, I like it. Oh man, well, hey, this has been fantastic, John. I hope that you got out of it what you wanted to, because I know it was very specific how you wanted to attack this. So I hope we were able to facilitate that.
I appreciate the forum. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. And it was great having you on. Would definitely love to have you on another time. We can go a different direction with it. But it was also really great. I mentioned earlier that you form these opinions, but they're ever changing, they're ever evolving. And it sounds like, again, the people you've met, after thinking like people outside of the drivers just don't care, or like the casual human doesn't care. But the people you talk about, and you admitted this, I'm just reiterating, that they have made a positive impact in your life from somebody who helped you during an incredibly dark time in Shimmi, to Lombard and the Logistics Lounge guys who helped you through Project 61 to shed a few pounds that you wanted to lose. I mean, so that's another reason I do this too, is because I just want to meet as many people as I can. And all of the stories are wild. Like, if not, you and I would have never been connected for any reason whatsoever.
Yep.
But we have something in common, and now we're talking about it, and I'm trying to learn about it. So I guess it's a long way of saying I appreciate you being yourself, you being candid, and for joining. We'd love to have you on another time.
Anytime you want. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I had a good time with this.
Awesome. And then, is there anywhere that you are on social media that you want people to check out, or are you more off the radar kind of guy?
I use LinkedIn. I use Twitter. I barely use Facebook unless you want to see bad dad jokes and bad memes. But that's
I can
pretty
invite
much
you to a group,
it.
actually.
What's that?
Cool. So I can invite you to a group that I follow that dad jokes are close enough on Facebook.
I may already be part of that group.
Well, we'll have to check that out offline. But cool, man. Okay, well, hey, John Larrauri on LinkedIn. What is it on Twitter, or X as they call it now?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
So. All right, and that's LARRAURI, correct?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So yeah, you can check them out there. Find them on LinkedIn. Until next time, John, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Scott.
And of course, I obviously have to call us out. You can find us on Spotify, LinkedIn, Instagram, and YouTube at What's Domiciled. Take care, everybody. Till next time.